Hi everyone, welcome back to week 5 of our Birth Wisdom Yoga prenatal series. Our birth wisdom for the week is Trust Birth, and this is one of my favorite wisdoms that I received working in the community as a labor and birth doula and also as a mom of 3 small children. And this wisdom leads us into one of my favorite topics in our women's circles from prenatal yoga classes, which is owning your birth and what that means for you. So I often say that owning your birth means that you are informed, you're asking questions about your labor with your care provider, you know why you're birthing, where you're birthing, and you feel empowered about the decisions you make in labor. So you and your partner gather information, you ask questions, and then from there you make decisions that you feel that you own. And so the opposite of that would be to go into a birthing center and just hand over your labor, which is the opposite of what I recommend. That's typically where women might be confused or even discouraged with their birth experience and leave not feeling empowered, but actually feeling disempowered. So know that you can ask questions, you can have a plan that helps you understand how you and your partner can gather information. And then from there, you can own your labor and really get into feeling what it's like to know what you need and to do that in labor and childbirth. Today in our class, we're going to begin in meditation. So I will see you on your mat. As we begin in meditation today, you will need a blanket or some pillows, maybe even a yoga bolster, whatever's comfortable for you. And you can also use 2 blocks today later in class. And just a reminder, if you're new to class, and even if this is your first yoga class, maybe you give yourself permission to do 60% of the class, allowing yourself to rest when you feel like you need to rest. I know it's really common for women to come into yoga classes after the first trimester because you finally feel good again and not quite as tired or maybe nauseous. So if that's the case, give yourself permission to just do a little bit today, and then as you get stronger, you can come into more of the poses. So let's get started in meditation with your blankets, coming down onto your left or right side. And you're using the blanket to either put underneath your baby or between your knees to give a little support there. And coming all the way down, allowing your eyes to shut down. And just resting your head in your right or left elbow. And gently coming into the breath, allowing your inhale to reach up through the crown of your head. And your exhale to come all the way down around your baby and out your toes. And just beginning to settle into your breath today. Slowing down. Softening your jaw. And as you continue to lengthen your inhale and your exhale, just begin to notice the thoughts in your mind. And release those thoughts with your exhale. So as you continue again and again to release the thoughts, you're creating space in the mind, in the body, to slow down and feel. And just allow the edges of your body to melt away and soften here. And just feeling the breath dropping you down deeper and deeper into your body. And begin to picture that beautiful, bright, glowing light surrounding your body, your energy field. It's just a beautiful golden light surrounding you in love and protection, attracting abundance and health. And see that light completely surrounding your baby right here. And just picturing your baby so peaceful and so content. And breathe into trusting that everything you and your baby needs for labor, for childbirth and mothering, it's already right here inside of you. And you'll always connect to that power with your ability to breathe and feel. And taking a deep inhale here. And open up, sigh out your exhale. Taking 3 more cleansing breaths, long and slow, inhaling deep. And open up, let everything out on your exhale. And just slowly, gently opening your eyes. We're going to go ahead and release your blanket. Just set that aside. We're going to start with some gentle stretches right here. Just cradle your head for support. We're taking that top knee and just bending the knee in towards the ribs. Circle the toes. And continue breathing here, nice and slow. Always returning to the breath. And from here, we'll drop your knee down and just take that heel gently towards your glutes, nice and easy. And continuing to breathe. And if it feels good, you can straighten the leg. Maybe just reaching back for support. Some of you, it might feel good to reach up for that toe. That's really going to be up to you, and maybe it feels good just to kind of flow through those movements with the breath, just alternating here. So I'm going to let you decide, because as always, we're practicing really feeling what's good for you so that you can take that with you into labor and childbirth. And that's really owning your labor, always knowing what you need and doing it. And then you'll take that into your mothering as well, which is going to be so powerful. So let's come on down from there. And we're going to go ahead and come into the other side. So just coming up to hands and knees and taking your time. We'll walk forward and then find your way down. Cradling your head again in your elbow. And remember, you can just start nice and slow, softening that top knee, circling the toes, and still breathing. So we're always returning to the breath because that's just what it's like in labor. You can bring that knee down. You can straighten the leg here. So you're going to decide. So in labor and childbirth, as those contractions build and grow, we're always coming back to the breath. So that's going to be where you find that lifeline of rhythm with breath and movement with the poses we practice today. Returning again and again to diving deep inside. So let's just do a couple more flows through these movements. Just nice and gentle, so we're not pushing through, stretching too deep. We're just moving and opening up slowly. And then from here, let's go ahead and come on to our hands and knees. Always moving to the side when you come up. It just makes it easier on your abdominal muscles. And then we're going to come to the top of your mat and all the way into child's pose. So keeping a block close by. In child's pose, your knees will be almost as wide as your mat. If your sciatica is bothering you, take them a little bit narrower, but just create space for your baby. We're walking the hands forward, and you can take your forehead all the way down. But it might feel really good to use the block and create a little more space for your baby, depending on how far along you are. So you're going to decide here. You can rest your elbows on your mat. You can reach forward and take it a little deeper in the shoulders. You decide here. So we're always slowing down and returning to the breath and really noticing what feels good, which sometimes is kind of an odd exploration. We may not be used to that. So really slow down here and connect to what your body needs. For some of you, you might need to come into a seated position when we're in child's pose, and that's perfect as well. So if you feel dizzy here or like you need to be upright, then come on over and find a seated position. That's just as good. Let's slowly remove your block. And we're coming up to hands and knees. And we're setting up for cow pose and cat pose. And just a reminder, it's really normal for you to feel like your wrists are very tight when you're pregnant because you have more fluid in your body to support your baby. So you can take your mat, roll up the end, and just take the base of your hand here and place it right at the edge of your mat. It'll take you right out of that tightness. It'll feel really good. For some of you, it might feel better to go ahead and come on to your fist. So that's up to you as well. But just know that we're not really stacking the hands right under the shoulders because that's probably going to feel too tight for you right now. So walk them forward where they feel good. Your knees are about hip width apart. And we're going to inhale, taking your chin and your tailbone up to the sky. And then exhale, press into the hands, arch the back, drop the head down. And as you inhale, reach up with the head and the tailbone. Maybe allow the eyes to shut down. Just take the breath deep inside here. And just breathing into that opening you're creating in the spine. And then gently coming back to center to hands and knees. We are taking the knees a little bit wider, walking the hands forward, creating space for your baby, and coming into pelvic circles. So we're still moving with that breath, allowing that inhale to reach up and the exhale to come all the way down and out your toes. And this is just a wonderful position for any phase of labor. I often say just remember to bring a yoga mat with you that you can use to get on the floor wherever you're birthing. And know that you can use these positions. It feels wonderful to have your baby float off of your back. Your birth partner can create some counter pressure here if you're having pain in the lower back. Let's come back to center. And we're going to step out to the side with the left foot. You're softening this knee, and we're going to rock and roll forward and back. So I often say this is one of our favorite positions for the pushing phase for first-time moms, but also for any woman at any pregnancy and any stage of labor. It's really wonderful for opening up the pelvis. So we know from research that it creates at least 30% more space in the pelvis for women. So who doesn't want that space, right? Let's try the other side. Go ahead and step out. And soften that knee and take circles here. We're still breathing. And you might notice one side is a little bit tighter, so just take it slow. That's normal. That's all connected to the pelvic floor muscles, which we'll explore later in a pelvic floor yoga series here. For now, just know this is a wonderful pose for you to take to labor and childbirth. And I would definitely have a birth ball here, so you could just rock and roll and your hands can get a break. That'll make it feel easier. And coming back to center, we're going to sit right down into hero's pose. And for now, you can take your hero's pose nice and wide, so there's space for your baby. But also for some of you, if your knees feel a little too tight there, go ahead and come into a nice, easy seated position. So this will be up to you. We're coming into a modification for camel. Your fingers will face forward. Your hands will come right behind you. And from here, you can press into the hands, open up the chest, tuck the chin, or take the head all the way back. And if you're in hero's pose, you'll take it a little bit deeper. Fingers face forward again. We're pressing back. And then from here, you can either tuck the chin, stay here. You can lift up and drop the head back. And you can hold this for 3 to 5 breaths. So just remember, this modification is so important for protecting the abdominal muscles from a diastasis recti when you're pregnant. So as we modify poses like camel and cobra, we're making sure these muscles don't get too traumatized just from the growth of your baby, which would result in those muscles separating, and it can be really difficult to heal later during the postpartum phase. So let's slowly come back to hands and knees. And find your child's pose. We're just going to take a couple of breaths here because it just feels good to take your spine in the opposite direction after that camel modification. So deep inhale, using a block if you need more space, and deep exhale. And then gently removing your block. Finding your way to hands and knees. Your fingers are nice and wide. We're setting up for downward facing dog, so curling your toes, pressing into the hips, and you can walk this out a bit so your feet can come wider if you like. Your fingers are nice and wide. Allow the head to drop down. Inhale deep here. Then exhale nice and slow. You might bend one knee, then the other. And we usually hold this pose 3 to 5 breaths when you're pregnant. Not usually any longer than that. Just to ensure, in case you might have low blood sugar or low blood pressure, if you feel dizzy here, then you know you can come on out and come right into child's pose. So let's bend the knees a lot, and we're walking the hands back to the feet slowly. And just standing up, taking your time. And keeping a micro bend in the knees, we're going to set up here for mountain pose. And softening into your heels. And then let's go ahead and look at how you're standing. So if you're really tucking the pelvis underneath you, I'd like you to take your hands on your hips and just allow a neutral pelvis. So you feel your sit bones on top of your heels. And this can really help create support and stability in the pelvic floor muscles. And like I said, we'll get into all of that in another series. But for now, just notice when you're standing or sitting, if you tuck the pelvis underneath you to the left or the right, and see if you can find just a neutral stance here. Let's take the palms forward and then come into the breath. Inhale deep. And then that left wrist will come up and over to the right. Pressing into the feet. Inhale, reach up. And take that right wrist up and over. And we'll do one more set. So reaching up, open the spine. And move with your breath. And then a deep inhale. And with your exhale, we're going to take the feet really wide, bend the knees, and a gentle fold forward. And an inhale to a halfway lift. And then we'll come all the way down to hands and knees, keeping your block close by. We are setting up for low lunges. So go ahead and take your hands both to the left side of your mat. Step the right foot forward, and we are going to rock and roll forward and back here. If you need a little more space, go ahead and take your block and rock and roll here. So this, as I've mentioned before, is wonderful for sciatica pain. It really helps to release that nerve and bring relief. So I would do this a few minutes every day. But also, this is a really important pose to take into labor. So we know that it helps change the shape of the pelvis and helps create space for baby. So plan to have a birth ball here, a pillow under your knee, and you can just rock and roll for hours, connecting to your breath in labor. Let's come back to center and try the other side. So both hands will come to the right, and then we'll walk that left foot forward. And just take it slow, just like your pelvic circles. Sometimes you'll find that one side is a lot tighter than the other. So we're always listening and moving where it feels good. So return to the breath. And then from here, we'll go ahead and gently release your block, taking your time. And we are setting up for our first chaturanga. So in our classes, we modify chaturanga to ensure we're not coming into up dog, to make sure that your abdominals heal beautifully in the postpartum period. So you have some options here. First, you can come into our mini push-ups. They look like this. And use your breath here. Elbows come close towards your ribs. But you also can come into anything we've done so far. It might be pelvic circles. It might be cat and cow. So come into the breath and you decide where you're going here. If you feel tired and you need rest, know that you can come into child's pose. So it's going to totally be up to you here. Wherever you are, you're still connecting to the breath and listening to what feels good. We also had downward facing dog, or maybe you want to come into cat and cow. And then slowly meeting back at hands and knees. We are setting up for warrior one on the right side. So thumbs come together. We are stepping the right foot forward. You're pressing down into the left side, into your left foot. And we're going to go ahead and maybe press into that right thigh. That'll be up to you depending on how you feel. And take a look back at your left foot. So your toes are facing forward. It's about 60 degrees forward. And then you're going to go ahead and press into your heels. And notice that your toes, your knee, and your hip are facing the same direction. From there, we'll reach up to the sky and come into the breath. So as you press down into your heels, you reach up to the sky. And now feel the strength in your legs. Feel the power and the strength in your body. And know that you'll take that with you into your labor. And in that moment that you're having your baby, you'll have more strength in your body than you've ever had before. So see if you can feel that here for a couple more breaths. And inhale, reach up. With your exhale, we are flowing down to your mat. So right hand comes to right thigh. Left hand and knee will come down. We're coming all the way to hands and knees. And then from here, you're coming into your chaturanga. Remember, it's your choice. Maybe you find stillness. Maybe it's our mini push-ups. Wherever you go, stay with your breath completely. Really listening. If you need stillness, come into child's pose and find the breath here. Wherever you are, we will slowly come back to center together. And this time we're setting up for Warrior One on the left side. So thumbs come together. Remember, this is creating space for your baby. So when we step through, your knee doesn't hit your belly. Press into the right foot. And really find stability here. Take your time. Eventually, we all probably use that left thigh to come on up. So finding your heels and then reaching up to the sky and breathe. So pressing down again, pressing into the heels, feel the muscles in that back leg wake up, and feel your breath and your strength right here. And deep inhale, reach up. With your exhale, we will flow down together. So left hand to left thigh, hands and knees, come on down. And this is your last chaturanga. So really think about what you need here. Remember, you can come to child's pose. You can come into your push-ups or your pelvic circles. Maybe you just find our figure eight of circles. It's going to be up to you. This is your practice for labor and childbirth. You're really listening and moving where you need to move. One of the most powerful things you'll take with you to labor and into your everyday life. Still breathing wherever you are. And then we'll slowly come back to center, to hands and knees. We're setting up for Warrior Two. So your thumbs are together in the center of your mat. Step the right foot forward. Now this time your left foot will face the left side of your mat. Find stability. Come on up. And just notice your feet here. So it might feel good to take your right heel and line it up with your left heel. Some people feel better taking that right heel and lining it up with the left arch. So you're going to decide. And then from here, we're pressing down, softening that front right knee over the middle toes, and then keeping this back leg nice and strong and engaged. And taking the hands forward and back, let's just open the shoulder blades with the breath. You can also rock your elbows if that feels good. So this makes it a little unstable, so take it slow. This movement wakes up the micro muscles in the thighs, but maybe you need stillness, and if that's the case, you can stay right here and breathe. Wherever you go, just stay connected to your breath. And then let's slowly come back to Warrior Two Arms if you're not already there. Inhale the left hand down, the right hand to the sky, and breathe for Reverse Warrior. And if it feels better, you can look down behind you at your left toes if that feels better on your neck. Just really listen here. And then we'll inhale back to center and come all the way down to your mat. Right hand to right thigh, left hand and knee will come on down. And we are going to set up for the other side. So thumbs will come together, stepping the left foot forward, pressing down into the right foot. And then I'm going to go ahead and come on up and just turn around so you can see my feet clearly. So my right foot is facing the right side of the mat. My left foot is facing forward. I'm softening my left knee over that middle left toe. And then from here, you decide what feels good in this hip and knee, where you want to line up that left foot. And then come into the arms so you can reach forward. You can open the shoulder blades here. You're still breathing wherever you decide to take the arms. Sometimes rocking these elbows will help get babies kind of their knees or elbows out of your rib cage when you're in that third trimester. So you just see what feels good here. Moving with your breath, adjusting your feet if you need to. Really notice the exhale and let that go. And we're coming back to Warrior Two Arms, taking the right hand down, the left hand to the sky, and breathe. And remember, you can look down here. And inhale, reach up. Take that left hand all the way down to the left thigh. We're coming down to hands and knees. And then we're going to go ahead and face the top of your mat. And maybe coming onto your fist if that feels good, if you need a break in your wrist. We're going to take the left foot back. We're pressing through the left heel. Just feeling that stretch, that energy from the crown of your head all the way down through the left heel, through the calf, which might even be a little sore if you've been getting those cramps at night in your calves. Remember that bridge pose is a great remedy for that. We're going to press into the right hand. Allow your left foot to slide onto your mat in line with the right, and take the left hand up to the sky and just open up and breathe here. And then we'll come on down. And setting up for the other side, so we're pressing the right foot back. And just take the stretch first. Maybe you come onto your fist if your wrists are getting tired. And take the crown of the head forward and just feel that energy through the calf muscle, through the heel. And then pressing down with the left hand, we're going to slide that right foot over and go ahead and reach up to the sky. For some of you, it might feel good to curl the toes on the mat. You might feel a little more stable. For some of you, we might keep them flat. That's going to be up to you. And then we'll come on down. And we're sitting down into just an easy seated position. And from here, keeping your blocks close by, we're going to come into butterfly pose. So this is a great hip opener. The soles of your feet are together. And if you have space here, you can take your block underneath your knees, or pillows will work just as well, or blankets. And then come into the breath. Allow the eyes to shut down. And let's practice for what happens in between contractions in labor. You have a wonderful resting period, and of course it gets shorter as you get closer to holding your baby. But you still have a resting period, and the more you can soften your body and dive into the breath, usually the easier it'll be to open up faster with less pain. So let's begin with the crown of your head here, and using the breath, just dive in and see, scanning your body slowly, where you can take the breath and soften, where there might be tension or resistance, and take the breath there. Maybe noticing where you can use trust to soften into something with this pregnancy, or as you prepare for labor and childbirth. And then we will gently release your blocks. So just remember, when we're in yin poses, we'll hold those 3 to 5 breaths. We do not hold them longer just because of all the wonderful relaxin in your body, that we want to make sure we don't overstretch. And sometimes when you're pregnant, you won't realize you've gone too far until it's too late. So that's why we hold that a little bit shorter. We're coming into a seated twist now. We know this is a safe twist because both sit bones will stay on your mat. So walking both hands to the left side, reach up through the crown of your head and breathe. And then we'll gently take it to the other side. And just reach up softly, maybe allow the eyes to shut down, come into your breath. And then gently come back to center. Let's just take a few circles with the shoulders, see if there's anything left here to let go of. Take them forward, you can take them back. If it feels good, you can circle your head here. So we are still breathing. And then we're going to gently come onto your left or right side for Shavasana. So remember, we don't lay flat on your back when you're pregnant in Shavasana because of that vena cava artery that you have, that your baby actually lays on when you lay down. So after the first trimester, it's really recommended that you stay on your left or right side. Generally, your left side is preferred because there's better circulation there. But for Shavasana, you can lay on your right if you're always laying on your left at home and that left hip is getting a little sore. So allow the eyes to shut down here. And coming back into that breath. And staying down on your mat, giving yourself this gift of stillness and breath. Remembering Shavasana is one of the most important poses. It's where your body really receives the breath and the energy of the poses. Trust birth. I see my baby feeling secure safe and surrounded by a bright, glowing light of serenity and protection. I know that we will receive the wisdom, patience, and understanding that we need as parents. I trust our instincts to know what our baby needs and to let go of worries about the future. I am full of gratitude for my body and for the beautiful rhythm of my baby leading the way, my body following wisely. And taking a deep inhale of love and gratitude, and let that feeling wash over your entire body, giving your body so much love for all the good work it's doing, growing and sustaining your baby, for your health and your strength, and always for your wisdom and your intuition. And just gently beginning to move your fingers, your toes to reawaken. Taking your time to find your way into a seated position. And gently bringing your hands at heart center, allowing your eyes to shut down. I intend for you this week to continue using your birth breathing to open up to trusting birth, trusting that you have the power to own your birth experience through your questions, your gathering of information, and listening to what's best for you and your baby and your family. Namaste. Thank you so much for practicing this week with me. I wanted to remind you that you can find any of the stories or the birth wisdoms in my book, Birth Wisdom Yoga Remedies and Journal. It's on Amazon and sold through Books A Million. You can also subscribe to my YouTube channel and like it if you're enjoying the videos. And stay tuned for my upcoming pelvic floor yoga series that will be for all women. Hope to see you next week.